So my name is Antonio Reynoso. I'm currently the Brooklyn Borough President, and I'm running for Congress in New York 7. A bit about my story is I was a son of immigrants that came here from the Dominican Republic in the late 1970s. We're a poor family, so we were on food stamps, welfare, Section 8. If there was a government subsidy that existed, my family had to take advantage of it so I could have a roof over my head and food in my stomach. I'm deeply grateful for what government did for me, and I've been trying to pay it back ever since. I know that government could work for people, and that's what I want to bring back to Congress, and it's partly why I'm running. I really feel like Mayor Mamdani and Governor Kathy Hochul are people that are interested in taking care of the middle class, of the working class. I really feel like that effort is there. Almost all of the headaches that we're seeing and that we have right now come from the federal government. And it's an Iran war that is unnecessary and illegal that's raising gas prices. Tariffs that are illegal as well that made it so that everything is more expensive. No support for housing, and in the same amount of time, this government is building a ballroom. This government is just continues to show us that their priorities are not our people. So I think it's deeply important that right now in this time, we have serious people go to Congress to solve for problems, to get real results, and that's something that I believe I have the wherewithal to do, so it's what I want to do. The biggest mission in my campaign is we're from this district raised me. So I was born and raised in Williamsburg, I was born in Cumberland Hospital and raised in Williamsburg. And this community, whether it's a child care provider that took care of me in her home, Nuestros Niños Daycare Center, PS 19 or the Arbor School, Junior High School 50, El Puente, the Transfiguration Church, and every part of this community raised me. And I think a big part of this mission is letting the people know that they did a great job, that the village built me, that the village gave me everything I know, they set my foundation, and that from there, one of their own could come up and be a U.S. representative. That a mother with a 5th grade education could come from a different country, not speak the language, and in one generation, her son could be running for Congress. And those are deep, important things that I think are valuable to the American dream and to running for Congress. Injustice makes me angry. Justice is deeply important in the work we do. Economic justice, social justice, it's just justice always. So if there is a part of your life in which you feel that there is no fairness, there's no equity, there's no equality, I'm gonna be front and center in those moments. And if there's one thing you're gonna learn about me is that I get very upset when I see an injustice and I fight to solve for the problem. Another thing I guess I would say, and I'll alternate to that, is I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I'm somebody that's been doing this for a long time. I have a lot of receipts, and the receipts that you will see is me taking on tough fights and actually get it done. We have too many talking heads in Congress and in politics. What we really need is people with action, people that can solve for our problems. And that's one thing that you're gonna learn about me or know about me, is that I'm results driven. Yeah, you know, before I was a Brooklyn Borough President, I was a council member. And I represented a community of about 170,000 people. And a lot of those people were the people that raised me, people that I lived with, and people that were very like-minded. And when I became Brooklyn Borough President, it was a much more diverse community. People that were conservative, that were liberal, people that were tall or short, Muslim and Jewish. The diversity of this borough really came to hold in the borough presidency that didn't exist when I was in the city council, as much as I was in the city council. So one thing I learned is to take a step back sometimes, listen to people, hear their stories, hear where they come from, and be able to generate some level of support for them through that. Their stories are deeply important. So it humbled me significantly. You know, I'll give an example is bike lanes in Williamsburg are very popular. It's something that I think is extremely important. But you can't go to Canarsie and have that same exact conversation about bike lanes. You have to come from a different place. You have to understand where they come from, their lack of transportation. So while I'm a huge bike advocate, I like to have a conversation about what that means in different parts of the borough. And sometimes the solution isn't the same across the board. So just something that Borough Hall taught me is that we live in a very, very diverse borough, and we need to have somebody that's willing to humble themselves, listen, and really hear out the communities and what they're struggling with and try to solve for those problems. Yeah, so I want to just originally ran for borough president and was looking for support in the Muslim community. And the first people that I bumped into was the Pakistani community. And they really built a home and trusted me and supported me immediately. And there were some friends of mine that were in that group that were Bangladeshi. But then since I became borough president, 4 years later, the Bangladeshi rise and influence exponentially increased. It was unbelievable how much power and influence they were able to amass. And I think is a testament to their organizing and their efforts. So one thing I would say is that the Bangladeshi community is one of the fastest growing political powerhouses in New York politics. There is now in Bangladeshi communities, especially in Brooklyn, you can't run for office if you're not going to mosques, if you're not talking to imams. And that's a new phenomenon that we're seeing in New York, and the Bangladeshi community is really core to that. But the bigger conversation here is not just about the Bangladeshi community. It's just that what we're seeing is that the traditional political class cannot go around doing the same stuff they were doing 10 years ago to be successful. We have to go and meet people where they are. We have to meet more diverse people. We can't think that the political capital or class that exists is only usually in white affluent areas. It's all over the city. And the Bangladeshis are now a part of that tapestry, of that foundation. So it's very interesting to see the rise of different diverse groups that at one time might have not gotten the respect or the representation they deserved, really not getting it in passing, but demanding it. It's been pretty extraordinary to see the rise of the Bangladeshi community. New York does. I think this country a little less overall, but New York does. The value of the immigrant coming to New York and doing the best they can to start up a small business and raise a family. When you talk about achieving the American dream, these families do it every single day. And they're model American citizens, model residents of America, the type of residents that we should be highlighting. But the federal government right now is treating these stories as stories of enemies. And we have to really push back and fight back against what America means to people and what it defines it. And right now, when I was younger, I always felt like America cared about its immigrants, valued its immigrants, really recognized its immigrants, and understood the value that we were adding. Now, it feels like the government wants to pit people against little versus people with less. And I just hope that my people can be aware enough to stop looking down at the people that have no political capital, no influence, don't write legislation. Those are not the people causing you all your harm. To look up at the people in which this system is working perfectly fine for. We're talking about millionaires and billionaires getting richer while the rest of us struggle. And those are the people making things harder. And even through all those hardships that are being created by an elite class, we see these immigrants figuring out a way to build businesses, to be successful, to build families, and create an amazing world or system for the following generation. Yeah, while our economic justice system, or I guess our economic model, has no justice in it. Right now, the system is working very well for a few. Over the last 5 years, this country has seen the greatest wealth transfer in its history, which means that the system is working for a very small amount of people. And those people are people with a lot of influence and money. This president now, President Trump, and the Republicans have engineered the economic system of America to make the richer richer and have the poorer poorer. And we need to be able to contest that. We need a class warfare and a conversation with our representatives in Congress, both Senate and House of Representatives, to really change this corporate culture that has led to making lives harder for people that are struggling every single day. And it starts with representation. Right now, we don't have enough people that are middle-class family, small homeowners, business owners. What we have is a lot of rich people telling us that they know better and that our struggle is one of choice versus one that is a system built to make it so that we struggle. So I want to tell people that are struggling that we're going to get more people that look like us, that represent us, to be there to change the system so it could work for you, not for the elite and the 1%. Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, if you want to talk to the people that you're claiming to represent, you need to talk to the media that they consume. And we've seen through the rise of an age of media and press, where a lot of people are getting their information from news sources that are not your traditional media sources, like the big cable television news or these mainstream newspapers. I come from an immigrant community, the Dominican community, and most of their information comes from news channels that you would think would be obscure, but it's where they get their content from. They trust their people, they trust their language, and many of them, again, are using these type of outlets as their primary source of information. If I want to get to the people, I need to get to the sources that are giving them their information. So ethnic media has been very important. In Borough Hall, we have like an ethnic media group that we are always reaching out to and doing our best to try to get them to have content and information. Mayor Zoran Mamdani has done a very good job at really finding spaces in his administration to allow for new media, is what we call it, new age media, to really have a platform. So if I want to really talk to the people, if I really want to reach the people, these are the folks that I have to be talking to. New York is 100% becoming unaffordable for working people, and we have a lot of work to do. I would say that even though we're coming from a different country to this one, but immigrants never forget where they came from. So the traditions and cultures are something that they also bring with them, not only their bodies. And our country and our city needs to be a city that receives those customs and those traditions with open arms. It can and it will if we bring adults to the table and stop electing clowns. What worries me most about the future of this city is how we forgot to think big. Bad elected officials for generations have made it so that big ideas are no longer something that we see in ourselves. So I hope that in the future, somebody says big things and that it doesn't scare us. It actually draws us to fight harder for those things. Young people give me hope. That's why I think Zoran Mamdani's election, a lot of people see it as a huge victory for the Muslim community, but also a huge victory for the young people. He activated more young people than ever, and in politics, it's the hardest thing to do is to activate young people like that. So I would say young people give me a ton of hope. Results. That I am not somebody that goes to Congress and spends all their time talking in front of cameras, talking at the dais, but somebody that passed legislation that made their life a little better. And that every single day I show up and I come back to the community, I'm able to talk about the victories that we've won that have improved your life. I'm not a performative elected official. I don't like to go to parades. I don't like to throw parties. I like to pass laws that help you. I want a New York that is filled with love. I just think love is at the core of who we are, or should be at the core of who we are. And right now we're so polarized and nobody wants to talk to each other. And I just want people to love on each other. We're all New Yorkers. We all have that in common. So the future, I want one to be that neighbors open doors, people look each other in the eye and say hi. That type of world is the one I hope for my child. A world whose foundation, or a New York whose foundation is love.